Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. So, we were talking about fan theories yesterday, and today the thing I wanted to chat with you about was where fan theories come from. Yeah, well, that's kind of a silly answer. From fans, of course, but I'm not necessarily talking about fan theories in general. I'm talking about the ones that you see being reported on in fandom-focused media outlets. And if you were to say go to Google News and look for episode 9 news, you'll see some websites that are talking about this fan theory is this, that, and the other. Well, here's the thing. They're coming from a few different sources, and you can take them with grains of salt, if you will, because they are theories. They're not necessarily sourced information. And so actually you have to take them with, the whole salt lick, basically. But here, this is where most of them seem to be coming from, and that is Reddit. So if you're not familiar with Reddit, Reddit is a social media platform where people post articles, they post videos, they post photos, they share things, they write opinions about things, and these things can be upvoted or downvoted based on their popularity within a subreddit, which is a subsection of Reddit that is focused on a specific topic. And if things get enough upvotes, then they can actually get to the front pages of Reddit itself, and that becomes something that has the makings of major news. And so, of course, media outlets are watching Reddit to see what things are bubbling up on there, what things are being popular, and using that as sort of a barometer for topics that they might want to cover in their own right. They figure that if it's popular enough on that subreddit and it's getting enough approval by users, then hey, that means that there's a better than even chance that it might actually be popular with their own readership base. And that readership base is bound to be larger than Reddit. I mean, Reddit, comparatively speaking, is bound to be a smaller audience for these subreddits than for the actual websites themselves that are covering them. Not to say that Reddit's subreddit populations are infinitesimally small and therefore should be disregarded or anything like that. Hardly. In fact, quite the opposite. It's a very passionate population, and the fact that anything is getting traction in a subreddit is a pretty clear indicator that there is some idea of merit that's being discussed. Does it actually warrant being covered by fandom-focused media? Well, yeah, that's where things get a little sketchy. Especially in a clickbait era where all of these folks are just trying to drive page views more than anything else. One of the fan theories that has been catching fire recently is an idea for what the title of episode 9 is going to be, and people pointing to the fact that the phrase "The Last Jedi" was included in the title crawl for The Force Awakens, and so there is a phrase in the title crawl for The Last Jedi that might make an appropriate title, which is A New Order, which then would also tie in nicely to the fact that Star Wars Episode 4 had been renamed later A New Hope, so you could tie it into the Jedi Order, the First Order, you could do all these things. It's actually a really awesome thing. And yet not everything that's being reported is necessarily as awesome as that. There are other websites like MovieWeb and Inverse where people can have their own profiles and can be reporting their own stuff or theorizing their own stuff, and if they can get it to get enough traction, then other fandom-focused media websites will pick it up potentially. But those sites are not media websites in the same way that, say, Mashable or Screen Rant or Cinema Blend or, sites like that are. So, those are a step up from where the MovieWebs and the Inverses are in that space. And so when you see stuff that is being published there, then you know that it's really one person's idea. It's not necessarily an idea that has been sourced in the same way that, some of these other sites are looking at Reddit, for example, and trying to find ideas for content that will satisfy the masses. And then there is the Daily Express, which is a website based in the UK, and they are reporting a lot of stuff from somebody else who, I've heard this guy's name, Mike Zero, with an H at the end, and I've never watched his stuff, in all honesty. And the stuff that I've read about his stuff has suggested that he's just taking fan theories and repurposing them for his own YouTube videos. And my understanding is that they haven't really panned out, in that there's a lot of just sensationalist stuff, especially when you write headlines like, does this character appear in something, and it's this in all capital letters. And just the more you see capitals in headlines and stuff, just the more you kind of get suspicious about what's actually being talked about in the article itself. I mean, in all honesty, I should probably give some of those Zero videos a try just to see if it's what other people are saying or if I have my own opinion about it. So I probably will give that a shot. And if anything remarkable comes of it, I'll let you know. But for now, though, if you're seeing fan theories espoused in places, then, chances are, if you want to check out Reddit, that's where you're going to find out about this stuff. And if you had any impressions about Reddit being a place where it would be somewhat toxic in its fandom, in its interactions and whatnot, I have to tell you that the moderators of the Star Wars subreddit are doing what they can to crack down on that toxicity that does exist in this fandom or any other fandom. They have made it very clear that discussions must be civilized, and that it's okay to hate on something as long as you're doing it in a civilized manner, and that they will not be tolerating any uncivilized actions. And so that, I think, is a really cool thing. And so congrats and kudos to the moderators of the Star Wars subreddits for taking a stand and making sure that they make that a great place to have Star Wars discussions. And you know what? Why wait? So it's easy enough to pause the recording and just do it. So I watched a couple of videos. You know what? It's harmless. I've seen some really negative comments about the guy, but you know what? Just on watching a few of them, really my initial impression is that it's speculation and taking stuff from other reporting sources like Star Wars Newsnet that are very deeply versed in the breaking of Star Wars news and rumors and leaks and spoilers and whatnot. So, what the heck. Anyway, that is going to do it for this part of the podcast over in the audio version at sw7x7.com/iTunes/Spotify, etc., etc. I'll do something extra there, but for now, it just remains for me to say thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.